Humor Syndrome, Elden Ring is life. Hey everyone, welcome to the show. The moment has come. We are finally here. We're in it. We are in Elden Ring. So hardcore right now. It's all we're doing, right? It's all you're doing out there. I have put everything to the sides. I am barely finding enough time to watch 20 minutes of Shenmue each week. That's how deep into Elden Ring I am. I'm 72 hours in last time I checked before we started rolling the camera. So let's dive in and talk about what makes this game so special. So first up is the open world. You know, From Software games are traditionally open-ended, like I think of Dark Souls, and it's like not really open world, but you can kind of go multiple ways at a time, you know. But this is a true open world with just a massive map, and there's not a lot of direction, which I love. You know, we were talking about Horizon's open world recently, and how I really enjoyed the side quests for kind of building out the world, building the characters, and making you inhabit the place you're in. But with Elden Ring not giving you a lot of direction, it really forces you to be in the space. You're not in the menus digging around looking at, you know, your quest log. Like, I feel like the quest log in general is something that open world games shouldn't do away with, but it definitely gamifies things. So by just removing something as simple as a quest log, it really pulls you into the world. And the beauty of Elden Ring is there's always something to find. It is out of control. There's always something. You're always finding some cave or some ruins that you can go down in. And who the hell knows what you're gonna find? I mean, there are so many nights where I feel like a detective. Honestly, I feel like I'm tracking down leads, you know? I will have objectives from an NPC being like, yo, you gotta find these ruins and find this medallion. Or I will go into a cave and it'll be so insanely difficult, I leave, but then I maybe gain a few levels and it's like, you know, maybe I should go back to that cave, find out what's down there. Just that idea of discovery is so magical. It's a 10 out of 10. It's unbelievable. The meme of, do you see that place? You can go there. That is not a meme in Elden Ring. It is a reality. There is no window dressing. There is no set dressing. Truly what you see, you can go explore and discover, and it is just so incredible. And the open world is great for many different things. You know, you can go down in a cave and fight some hidden boss, which is awesome on its own because you're fighting some sick boss, some freako, or you're finding upgrade materials, you're finding quests, NPCs, and all that stuff is so meaningful because the lore is awesome. But because upgrades matter, you know, this is a challenging video game. We've been talking about difficulty quite a bit on Syndrome and Easy Allies in general with, you know, Sifu and Horizon having multiple difficulty settings. Elden Ring just has the one, but because it's open world, if you run into something challenging, you can go somewhere else, and that is so awesome. You know, they throw in these really easy bosses. There's so many easy bosses in this game that you can just take out, feel good, move on to the next, and I really like that. You know, I think of Dark Souls and Bloodborne and Sekiro and just these roadblocks, getting to a boss and not being able to beat it and being like, well, shit. But there's just so many ways to go and to build your character that it helps with the difficulty. Which brings us to our next category, combat. Wouldn't be a From Software game without some sick-ass melee combat and some magic combat too. Magic is sick in this game. but if you are a mage, I will find you and I will kill you. So if you've played any of From Software games before, post Demon Souls, you know what to expect from this combat. Very similar health, stamina, mana in the form of FP this time around. But what sets it apart for me is the variety. Especially coming off Sekiro. I know that was a criticism for a lot of people, was not a lot of build variety in Sekiro. That's one of the strengths of Sekiro, in my opinion. Mikiri counter for the win. 10 out of 10. Best combat of all time, Sekiro. But I love the variety in Elden Ring. Truly, I have dabbled in PvP quite a bit. I found some cool questers having me go PvPing. So I've been invading people's games, and it's been awesome because it's different every time. Somebody is using some different tool every time, and I know when I show up into their game, they are shocked to see me doing somersault flips with a brick hammer. I know I'm throwing them off. I know you've never seen it. You're like, what the hell is this? Next thing you know, you're dead. Your face is in the pavement. But there's just so much variety. Everything feels viable. There's a lot of upgrade materials this time around. That was always my problem with Bloodborne is, I want to sample some of these weapons, but committing to one takes up all my resources, and the game is already hard enough. I want to use the best weapon I have, but it's a little easier to mix and match and to just dabble around. Obviously, I used my From Software staple, the halberd. Right now, I'm rocking the brick hammer with a little bit of faith magic at my side. I can cure some poisons and give myself some buffs, but I'm primarily two-handing the brick hammer, and I love it. There's also all these ashes of war that you can find. You can tune your weapon to a heavy or quality build or a magic build. Those give you different abilities. I'm using the lion's collar right now. It's this somersault flip. I don't even know where I got this thing. It's all or nothing. If I hit you, you die. If I miss, I die. One thing I really loved about Sekiro was stealth, and Elden Ring has a little bit of stealth, which I love, just creeping around, hiding in some bushes, and picking off foes one by one. It's just another way to deal with enemies, and I really like that stealth is an option. You're not gonna one-shot people, but it's good to take out smaller enemies and to, get a big hit in maybe on a strong enemy before things get going. And last thing about combat, it wouldn't be special if there weren't special bosses to fight. It definitely feels like there are more bosses in Elden Ring than any From Software game ever made. I mean, probably more in this game than Dark Souls 1 and 2 combined, it feels like. It just feels like there's a boss at every turn and down every cave, and it's really good because it's building confidence. You can find these bosses. There's a lot of easy ones. There's some really, really hard ones. But some of them haven't been as impactful as in previous games. Obviously, that's because we've seen so many From Software bosses at this point. If you just count every single one from Demon Souls onward, I mean, that's a lot of bosses we've killed before we even boot up Elden Ring. And this game has so many that it's just one after another. It's not exhausting, but they haven't hit me as hard as, say, something like Ornstein and Smo or Artorias or Manus or Lady Butterfly, the Cleric Beast, Father Gascoigne. I haven't been gut punched. I haven't been hit in the face by some 10 out of 10 just yet. I'm hoping they're saving them all for the home stretch. But I do really like the bosses. There's a lot of fun fights, and I appreciate the variety. They've done some interesting things. We're not getting into any spoilers here, but we'll wait and see for the home stretch. We'll do another check-in. We'll definitely do another episode of Huber Syndrome. We'll get Brad on here. We definitely got to rank the bosses or do a top five bosses in the game. Definitely. Stay tuned for that episode for sure. lastly, I just want to mention it. We're not going to get into any specifics. Do not worry. I promise you. Don, throw a spoiler warning up just in case, but please do not run and hide. I promise you. I don't even know enough to spoil you. I couldn't spoil you if I wanted to. But I did just want to mention the lore and the story and just the vibe and the mood of Elden Ring. I'm loving it. Part of that is because of Round Table Hold. Round Table Hold is incredible. Move over, Firelink Shrine. There is a new best hub in From Games. Round Table Hold is just so cozy. There's fireplaces everywhere. I'm always sitting down in front of these. Anytime I idle, whether to get up and stretch or to do a research break or pour a fresh brew of coffee or crack a cold iced beer, whatever it may be, I always make a point to go back to Round Table Hold and chill in front of a fire. Idle and Round Table Hold. But I just love it here because NPCs come and go depending on quest progress and game progress. It feels harder to miss quests this time around. It feels a little more forgiving. In previous games, I would miss 75% of these quests, and that's a bummer because they add so much lore and story, and they're just awesome. There's so many great NPCs in these games, so many memorable characters, and Round Table Hold does a good job of kind of bringing them together and just having this hub where you can dig into this story. And it feels easier to start these quests. I feel like I've failed a ton, but that's cool, I've found enough quests to eventually fail them. I feel like I've done so many halfway rather than like one or two all the way through. So yeah, it just feels easier to find a lot of these. So it's probably because there's more NPCs than ever before. This open world is so big. But really dig in the lore and stay tuned for the Easy Allies spoiler mode in the coming weeks. Huge game. It takes a while. We're all getting through this thing, but stay tuned for that. But first impressions of the lore are 2 thumbs up. And that's going to do it for the episode. Those are my thoughts on the first 72 hours of Elden Ring. I am committed. And you know me with my open world habits, my open world tendencies. 100% in this thing. If there is a cave, I will not roll credits until that cave is complete. I'm doing everything. My map is just Jones's paradise. There's just dots everywhere. Shout out to the markers you can put on the map. It really feels like old school D&D or like an NES game. I'm getting out pen and pad, just putting those markers everywhere. I have a skull for when it's impossible. I have a sword for when it's doable. And then I'll put the flag for when I completed an area. It's just really smart, really nice. Elden Ring, it's all I think about. It's all I dream about. It's Elden Ring. I'll see you next week. I'm gonna go play right now.